Fix my wig before anyone joins. Always fix my wig before anyone joins. Okay. Hi everyone. Just waiting for Batch to join. Hi Batch.
Hetty. Hetty, can you hear
Can you
me?
hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear
Okay,
you
I'll
as
go.
well. Yeah. Let's
I'm
wait for a few
outside.
more people to join. Hi to on.
See my man
Oh,
friend.
okay.
How are you?
Hello. But you know you're live, right? Oh God. But hello, Bash's Manfred. We're all very happy to finally see your face.
Oh, I sang.
We've heard a lot about you.
I got up from where he is. He's just going to disturb me.
She's exposing. Honest says you are exposing the man friend.
Yes. So yes.
Let's give people a few.
We came to see his 98-year-old mom.
Oh wow. 98.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Wow. Nice.
Is that my Jennifer who joined?
Yes. Jennifer Yeboah.
Yes.
I think it is.
Wow.
One is saying that hope your man friend's mom is well.
They are well. They are eating suya. He's been using to bribe me all the time.
I hope there's champagne as well somewhere. For
Charlie,
our little madam especially.
Yeah, of course. You know she will request for that for the first day at school.
Oh God. So you're preparing for school tomorrow. Oh, thank you, Bash. I thought I'll put in a bit of effort, since our president is here. We have to look presentable.
Yeah, you're looking very good and very fresh.
Thank you. I had to take some pictures for Sharon, so I had to dress up. Otherwise, I am. Yes, I am. Thank you very much for asking. My sense of smell has still not come back, so I can still smell. Everything smells like vanilla, but yeah. Apart from that, I'm feeling much better. Thank you. So let's get right into it. Hi, everybody that has joined. There's a bit of, but your internet is cutting off.
Is that mine? Oh,
it's better now. Yeah,
okay.
It's fine now. You're frozen though, but we can hear you.
Today's conversation is serious, so I don't want to miss out on anything. Is Jennifer asking if I'm in Ghana? Can I comment?
Yes, of course you can. Yeah.
Okay.
And they can hear you, so you can just answer the questions verbally. It's better to answer the questions verbally.
I miss you.
All right. So yeah, this conversation is quite important, and it's a serious conversation as well. So I'll just get started, say a few things, and then I'll leave it to you. People will ask you questions. I will ask questions as well, and hopefully we can make it as interactive as possible, and hopefully more people will join. So sorry, I was just going to go on my Facebook and post that we have started, so people should join.
Okay.
But so yeah, this conversation really is about the options that women have if they don't want to, if they want to go through sterilization. And it's very important that we make it clear that sterilization is not really something that, you know, we feel people should do only because they don't want to have children. There are many, many reasons why people go through that process. It could be for medical reasons. I know people that have like very, 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 very difficult times with their periods, with dysmenorrhea and stuff like that. And some have considered going through sterilization so that the wombs are removed or the uterus is removed and they don't have to have periods. I know people that, you know, have had to remove it because of fibroids, etc. And then there are people like me who have chosen to not have children. So even though I haven't gone through any process of sterilization, it's something that I have considered, and I seriously consider from time to time, that I would like to have a hysterectomy because I'm not going to have children. I have no desire whatsoever to have children. It's never going to change. And so there are many, many different reasons why people want to or consider going through that. For you, Bash, I know that you went through it for medical reasons and you already have 2 children. So this conversation really is to sort of like get you to talk about your experience more and share with us any kind of information that you have on the process and other forms of sterilization. And also, it's quite interesting because you are an African woman and you're a Muslim and you're a feminist. So, so that intersection, that intersection is really, really interesting for me, and I'm sure for our audience as well, because, you know, it's sort of like layers and layers of other forms of oppressive systems that come together. And for a woman, especially going through that in our neck of the woods, it's almost like a taboo for a woman to even consider that she doesn't want to have children. So so we just want to have this conversation with you, really, so that you talk to us and tell us your experience, what you went through, and hopefully we can learn a thing or two from this session. So take it away, Vash.
Thank you everyone, and I'm happy that you all found time to join us. It is good that once a while we as women discuss ourselves, like our bodies. We have to talk about issues that we think we are the only people going through them, but truthfully, there are a whole lot of people who are going through the same problems that we are going through. But the problem has been because we do not normally discuss these issues openly. One, from a part of the world, the sacredness, you know, about childbirth, how society see it. When they hear you discussing childbirth, what does it mean? You know, what does it mean for a woman to say that I don't want to have babies? I don't want to go through the process of even natural birth. I just want to go through a CS. It also comes with its own challenges. But before I delve into my own personal experiences, I'd like to say that there are a lot of processes, a lot of channels through which a woman can be a mother. You don't have to physically be the one to bear the child, you know. So once you have the desire to be host of processes. So I'd like to say that don't think that it's the end of the world if you do not want to have babies, or if you can't have babies. Go through any of the processes and you will have a child of your own. Not everyone wants to carry a child. So for me, with my experience, like Hetty did introduce, since the day I started having my menses, as early as I think 14, it's been hell. So it's always been one hell of a problem for me, to an extent that whenever I'm on my menses, I cannot even go to school because it was very serious. Like, I have to be at the same place for a whole day. I can sleep from morning till like 10 p.m. before I get up to even eat. It was that bad. And the worst is that the bleeding never stops. I mean, for me, it was very serious to an extent that sometimes I'll just bleed for just a day. The following day, there's nothing. So for just that day, it's hell. I can change parts I can use like 3 different packs of always. And at that young age, my parents like tried to speak like medical attention, and some doctors were telling us that, oh, maybe hormonal imbalances, oh, you'll be okay as she grows, and then the myth about once she has a baby, it will all stop. Once she has sex, it will all stop. Once she gets pregnant, everything will cease. I mean, there's stories upon stories. So truth is, not until I had my son in 2010, I had never gone through like a 7-day period of menstruation.
Menstruation, wow.
It was always like 2 days, 3 days, 2 days, 3 days. And it was serious and very heavy. And at a point, I needed to stop using sanitary pads. So I was using a Pampers.
Wow.
So yes, yeah. So I was using a Pampers. And if I use a Pampers, I can actually use it like, let's say I can use like 4 or 5 in a day. It was that bad. So, well, I tried, and the worst is that even when I was pregnant, I mean, it wasn't pleasant for me. It was serious. It was tough. I would go through a lot of problems medically. It's just that I was a tough girl myself. So I found a way of going through it like smoothly. So when with my son's pregnancy, I was told that unless with CS, I couldn't actually give birth to him myself. And then I insisted I could, which I did. Thankfully, I never bled. But then the issue was because of the nature of my fibroids, very huge, and my fibroids were in my womb.
Oh, wow.
So, yes. So my son weighed like 2.3, 2.4. So like he himself had gone through so much stress that he was so tired when he came, and then the doctors had to put him on antibiotics. So we stayed in the hospital for like 5 days. They needed to take care of him. He was very tiny, very small, like a lizard. But now he's almost my height.
She said like a lizard.
Yes.
That is funny.
So like it was very serious, and he needed medical attention. And so, I mean, that's a conversation for another day. Someday we will have this conversation, because at the time I had my son, that was the time I had started doing a degree program. So I had to like write my first paper, leaving my son in the hospital, and then rushing to campus to go and write my psychology exam, and then coming back to the hospital. I mean, it was horrible. I could cry at night because, a very tiny creature come to this world innocently, going through this phase. I mean, the IV and the drip and everything. I woke up in the middle of one night to find out that his whole shoulder was swollen.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was that bad. So I went through it, and then after I had him, my bleeding became crazy. So I could go for like 9 days, heavy bleeding, 3 Pampers to 4 Pampers in a day. So, I mean, you are walking around with your handbag, and people will look at the handbag, and then all they see is Pampers. They think that, I mean, for the baby, they didn't know that it was you. I remember one day, we were having I think I was lying on the bed, and my husband came in, looked at me, made a certain eye, went out, came back again, looked at me, and was like, that is why these Pampers just get finished too early. I didn't know there were 2 people using them.
That is hilarious.
And I said, oh yes, it has always been 2 of us. So, I mean, along the line, I decided to have another baby. And thankfully or luckily, that was in 2013. When I got the idea to have another baby, at that same moment, I got pregnant somehow.
Somehow. So, how can you get pregnant somehow? You knew what you did, Vash. You knew what you did. You knew what you were doing.
My man friend will join at a point. I'll drag him to come and talk about his own experience with me.
That would actually be fantastic, yeah.
So it was like I got pregnant again, and this time, so the first trimester is always hell and crazy, because one, the fibroids had grown so much. In fact, actually, after my son, I went with my husband to see the doctor to talk about if I could actually, like, they could have a surgery on me to take off the. So that time, they would have done a myomectomy for me. But the doctor was like, well, I think that since she's been able to have this one, if she really wants to have another baby, if she wants it, I think you should wait.
Mm-hmm.
And if she has another baby and she wants to take care of it, we can. So then I was like, okay, I think I would try one more time. Then it came in 2013. So, I mean, 2013, it was crazy too, because whenever I'm pregnant and you see me sitting, and then you will see that I have this big ball here, people will be touching, oh, the baby is here. In fact, it's not the baby, it's a
It's a
fibroid.
fibroid. Oh, wow.
So it's like a baby. So when I sit, you see the fibroid in one side of my tummy, and then you see the baby at another side. So I'm the only one who can tell you that this is the baby. This is the fibroid.
Wow.
But the fibroid is always visible, actually. It's always a visible one, not the baby.
Not the baby.
So after I had my baby, I mean, she was also like 2.4. And it was also because of the fibroids too. Because they told me it had taken so much space. And at a point, the truth is that I could feel that I had a problem. So sometimes, you are walking and all of a sudden, something just pricks you. And you have to like stand at a place for like 1 minute, 2 minutes and wait. Sometimes sitting down and getting up was also a challenge. But through it all, I think that the turning point was in 2017. So in 2017, I had admission to study in Canada, which I did. So I left the shores of Ghana, thinking that it was just me going to school. I got to Canada the first, I think, 2 months. In July. What is happening to me? Then the 3rd month, just when the thought came to me that no, something might be wrong. So I have to just like, that was when I think the 3rd day after that, I decided to check into the hospital. We Africans, bleeding is not something very strange. I mean, we don't really care. We know how to take care of ourselves. But my apartment mates were just like worried. They were screaming, you can't be bleeding like that. This is serious. We need to call 911. I said, what is wrong with you people? Back home, we don't do this. We know how to take care of ourselves. Stop screaming. So, I mean, it was so serious that when they threatened to call 911 again, I said, no, don't worry. I'll go to the hospital. Back in the community where our school was located, our university was, there's this women's reproductive health center. So they run it like a clinic. And it's like, it was established by a women's group.
Oh,
so they take care of, yes. So like, I mean, everything is about women, taking care of women, making sure that women are making the right choices, So I just went there and they said, no, they would test me. They did a couple of tests. And then later I went back to campus. They said I should go. They'll come back to pick me up. So I was on campus when the director of our program just came and then spoke to our facilitator in the classroom, and I was called, what is happening here? And they were like, they are bringing in the ambulance. I'm like, for what? I'm fine. They said, well, they said your blood is like 6.7. They need you to be in the hospital immediately for a transfusion, and they need to take care of you. It's that's you. I'm like, back home, they will ask me to eat kontombre, take care of kwine, drink. Why it is like the way, I mean, honestly, I didn't see why they were making a fuss about the whole issue. Because you should have seen their face. You know how the whites behave. You should have seen their face. They've all turned red. Okay, I'm coming. Let me pick my bag. I'm not going. Exactly. So I said, on only one condition, I'm not going in an ambulance. I'll go in your car. If it's an ambulance, I'm not going. And they were like, well, okay, fine. We will call them that we will bring you. So they called them, picked my bag, and then I went with them. What I didn't know was that when I got there, I was actually pregnant. Like, I was like 4 months gone. I didn't know. And then I miscarried. So I thought this was a normal menstruation, but then it wasn't. Yes. So it was at the point that the doctor in the emergency room did a couple of tests. They ran some scan, and then I saw machines I'd never seen before because we don't have any here. But I mean, it was a real exposure for me, actually. So the doctor then told me that the problem I had was that because of the nature of my fibroids, they were so big to an extent that the placenta couldn't get any spot to keep itself so that the
So you
baby could
miscarried.
swim. Yes. So what had to happen was that I had to miscarry because there was no space left.
Wow.
So I asked the doctor for options. Okay, so what can be done about it? Then the doctor was like, well, let me be plain with you. The only solution I think there is for you to go through a surgery. I said, okay, fine, that's okay. The truth is that until then, I had never heard of the hysterectomy. Never. All I knew was the myomectomy. So when she mentioned it, I was like, oh, really? What's that? And she told me, it's the evacuation of your uterus, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, this is not going to happen. I was scared. I was very scared because, one, it was the first time I was hearing it. Two, I was thinking about what is going to happen to me if they take everything out. You know, I had not taken my time to actually do a research on my own. So we spoke, but the doctor was wonderful. So the doctor took me through the process. Took care of me for like 5 months whilst waiting for me to make a decision, which I never made. But then, I would say that to everybody that has joined us, part of the issue I had was this societal pressure. Oh, don't let them take it off. When you come home, there are a lot of things that can happen. We can take you, this person can take care of you. This hospital can do it. There is this herbal person here. They will give you medication. You take it. Everything will come down. Just don't. So that everyone was just telling me, just don't. Just don't. Just don't. And my mind was, okay, fine. How will I fit in if I take it out? And in 2017, I was not as cooked as I am now in terms of my family. Now I am overcooked.
You were still in the oven.
Exactly. So, I listened to people, and my mom was also like, well, the decision is yours, but I think there are opportunities for us here too if you come back home. So, I just left it. I didn't do anything. But my doctor was very nice, and they continued to help me through the process. So my colleagues in school, my mates, they still call me that because I had like, I think three blood transfusion. So at a point I changed and they were like, oh, you've come to take the blood of indigenous people. So look at your skin. They still tell me that. When we're having a group chat, they also told me that, see, her color changed since you took that blood from the indigenous Canadian people. Because where we were was an unceded land, unceded territory, Mi'kmaqi indigenous people.
I see. Sorry, Bash has frozen a bit. Hopefully she will come back in a moment.
So my mom passed and it was another healing. So I had to go through different healing processes. My own healing myself from the sickness, and then my mom's. Yes. So it was very tough for me. After everything, I came back home. One thing I never thought of was that
Bash, your internet is dribbling us a bit.
Hello, Hetty, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay. So when I came back to Ghana in 2018, so I came back to Ghana December 2017 because it was a 7-month diploma in development leadership program. Then in 2018, I was headed back for the US to do my master's at Penn. So I left Ghana in August 2018. Then I think in September, I was not feeling so well. So I went to the University Health Center. Then they did some tests and they said, no, my blood was very low and that they were going to do. I said, no, I know what to do to let it come back. I'll eat. I know what food to eat. But then they were insistent. And then so you know how they treat their patient. So they were asking me for my history, my medical history, which I told them. And the bit I liked was that they actually got in contact with my former school in Canada, then got my medical history for them. And then they also pick up from there. So they started advising me, and they were advising me actually to also go through the surgery, the hysterectomy surgery, which I was still scared of. The difference is that I had missed a golden opportunity. You know, in Canada, everything would have been free because I was on student health insurance. In the US, there is a part of the copay. So I need to pay 20% of any amount that, so if like it's $8,000, I need to pay 20% of $8,000 as my copay. And I was a student, you know. So all those things were taken into consideration. But throughout my life in the US, I was always on medication because they needed to make sure that I was fine. So I was on folic acid, I was on iron, you know, I was on fesolate, and there was another one. So I always had those in my bag, and I needed it became a routine for me. Because it was so bad as that when I was there. And at a point, I had to be in the house for almost like a week, and my professors were very worried. So at a point, my professors said that they were ready to support me to pay for the surgery. I said no. One, I was scared because going through the healing process would be tough, and I was a student. I needed to still combine that with my studies.
With your studies.
You know how scholarships are. If you lose it, if you don't complete it at a certain time, you lose it. And I was scared of all those things. So I said, no, they shouldn't worry. I'll just go back home. Immediately I was done with school, which I did. So a week after my graduation, I was back in Ghana. And then when I got back to Ghana, for whatever reason, I forgot about myself, but I was taking medication, but I didn't discuss it with anyone again. In fact, I had 2 of my professors sending me emails asking me about it. I had one of the medical team guys in the US asking me about it. I never mentioned it again until December 2019. So that was I had not had my menses. I thought it was okay. I was just there one day, 24th December 2019. And I was like, oh, my tummy, I'm not fine. I feel pain. I feel this. No, I'm not. So I sat down. Then I heard my son come and just said, Mama, we have na kakaraka. Like literally meaning, why is your tummy that big now? What happened? Is there a baby inside? That was when I noticed that, no, this is not normal. But my mind didn't tell me that, there was any issue until it actually got very intense. I couldn't stand, I couldn't sit, I couldn't lie, I couldn't do anything. So I immediately had to call my husband, who was not home, and told him that I was going to a gynae in my area. There was a hospital there. So I rushed there and then asked him to meet me there. Then you remember the experience I recounted on Facebook. That was the point where I got to, and the gynae, because of religious stuff, didn't want to touch my tummy, you know. And my husband was so angry at a point because of how they were behaving that he said, no, I'm taking her. The following morning, I'm taking her to a government hospital. So we had to come home. They gave us some medication. I didn't sleep throughout the night. And what I remember was the face of my then 6-year-old daughter, who was crying, looking at me on the bed. She just kept crying, and I asked her why. She said, I'm sick, I'm not well, she's not fine. So the next morning we went to the hospital. So they looked at me and they just examined me, and the doctor was like, yeah, it's fibroid. I said, yeah, I know, now I'm ready, take it off. So they said, okay. So they were preparing. They said, okay, they will take it off. They asked me to do some tests. They gave me a ward, a bed, and everything. I checked in. Then unfortunately, all of a sudden, I started bleeding heavily, seriously. It was so bad. I was bleeding so bad that I could feel it myself, that this is not normal. So, and strangely, at that point, I started losing my pulse. Then they needed to put me on oxygen. So because that was also a district hospital, they were also scared. So on 31st of December 2019, then this is me with my big mouth and like thinking I was the most energized person on earth, lying there on oxygen, couldn't do anything. Then I needed to be transferred to the teaching hospital, Confanoche. So they got an ambulance, they put me in the ambulance and straight away transferred me to the hospital. So I had to stay in the emergency there for like 10 days. And sadly, when they were transferring me, those doctors actually wrote that my issue was pulmonary embolism. They didn't say anything about my gynecological problem.
Wow.
So when I got there, it was rather other doctors taking care of me. And I kept insisting that this is not it. My problem is I need a gynae. Bring me a gynae. Otherwise, I'm not going to be fine. I know myself. I know what the problem is. I have a history. I'll tell you everything. But just so for almost like 4 days, there was no gynae. Treating me for a heart-related problem, buying one medication from the other. It was hell until the gynae team came. They asked me to do a scan. I did. And then it was at the point of the scan that the guy who was doing the scan was like, no, this is not normal. He said it. And then he left the room. Then he went to call the medical, they call it the physician director or something. So he came and then he checked on the screen. Then he said he was coming. So I asked, what is happening? You guys are not telling me anything. Then he said, well, it looks like you have a problem. You have this like plenty of water somewhere in your abdomen. So the doctor came back, and they were trying to actually use a siren to get some of the water to test it to see what it was. They couldn't. Tried as they did, they couldn't. So they left it. And then the man said, well, the team will.
Oh, this is breaking again. Come on. Sorry, guys. But she's internet. Sorry, Bash, you keep cutting out, so we didn't hear that bit.
Baba Salam Ogbo. Hello. Hetty, can you hear me?
Hi.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
so
yes, I can hear you now.
So just to like.
Oh.
So at the D5 ward, the story is that anyone who goes there doesn't come out alive. That is it. Just for the D5 ward.
Doesn't come out alive.
At CAT. Yes, nobody goes there. And they actually take patients whose cases they are not sure of, they are confused, they don't know what to do again to those places. So that ward, and the truth is that when I was in that ward, each morning you wake up to see like 15 cops scattered. So they would just be wheeling people out of the ward like that.
Wow.
Morning and evening, yes, it was that bad in that ward. Other days we don't sleep at all because people are just dying and they are just taking them out. So what happened next was, so I was just there. I was so confused. My husband was going up and down. Then luckily for us, I had a gynae team just walk in, 3 of them. So they came and they looked at my report and everything. They came to see me, and then we started talking. So the doctor asked me my level of education, and then I told him. Then we started, and he was like, "Oh, you are very educated," and I said yes. Then he asked me, "How many kids do you have?" I told him. Then now he was like very relaxed, and he told me, "Well, I'll tell you the truth. If you want to be treated, you want to be like treated very well and get like you want to be well, I think that you should tell your spouse that you guys should be ready to spend more. Yeah, the insurance is good, but just hold on to it. There are instances that I will not advise you to use them." I told them, "Oh, well, why not? We are ready. Just tell us what to do, and we will do it." So that same evening, he told me that they were going to do two things. Either looking at my report, either they are going to take me straight away to surgery the following day, but they will bring the anesthetic team and some other people to check me, or they will bring a radiologist to come and check me to see if the radiologist, there is a new technology that they use to actually do the pars drainage. They will do that for me, and then after that, they will do the surgery. So they went, and then luckily for me, immediately they left. They called the head of radiologist department, and the man was just there in 5 minutes. So we spoke, and he left me a number and said, "Well, they've told me about you and meeting you. I think that you are a very open-minded person. So I'll tell you the truth." So he spoke and told me that, well, it is not good. It doesn't look good at all. Because at that point, Hetty, it was so bad that I was on Pampers. Yes, I was on Pampers. I had to, not bleeding, peeing, and it pooing.
Oh, right, I see.
It was very bad because at that point they said that I had an infection along the line. So I was just running. Every like 5 minutes I was running. It was bad and it was very dark. It was strange, and it was just my husband, because my husband wouldn't allow people would see me all right, but he would do everything for me. So he would change the pampers, he will come and bathe me, he will feed me, he will do everything. People will come, family will come here, but he will, oh, okay, fine. But then anything that is closer to those things, he would do them. So the radiologist came and left me a contact that we should call them for the tools that he needed for the surgery. He said the drainage kit, but it was expensive. So he said that we needed to get money to buy it. We said no problem. So he left. So the next morning we called, and unfortunately it was a holiday, I think 7th January. So once we had called the number, they told him we had called. So he brought the kit because he knew we were ready to pay for. And just the kit, Hetty, was 1,500 Ghana cedis.
Wow.
Kit, purchase of that kit.
Wow.
Yes. And at that point, there were about 4 more people who couldn't buy because, I mean, you know, it's expensive. And this is not covered by the insurance.
Of course.
No. So we got the kit, and then he did the drainage. So after the procedure, it took like, I think he used 11 days to get everything off. And I was discharged from the hospital, that's on 20th January. Then I went home. But the sad part is that after I went home, I bled. I was bleeding the whole time. So I kept bleeding and bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. And I was still going for checkups with my gynae team. So I told my doctor that I am not comfortable with this bleeding because, I mean, I had taken, there's this blood tonic. I forgot, what's the name of that blood tonic? There's this blood tonic, not pleasant, and I was on that. I had already consumed almost like 5 boxes. Because the extent to which I was bleeding was so horrible that they needed to make sure I was okay. So we just... Totima. Yes, Totima. So at that point, then I went for checkup one day. Then the doctor just said, okay, come and lie down. He came, he did his thing and was like, no, Baj, this is not good. This is bad. Can we do the surgery? I said, I'm ready when you are. Then he was like, well, if I book you, you see the point where he told me that we needed money instead of relying on the insurance. Then he was like, okay, there are 2 options. The first option is that, yes, it's Totima. So the first option is, 1, if we book you with the normal process, it means it can take, that was in February, it can take you up to August because there's a long queue and you needed to join it. Otherwise, if you pick the special, they call it special something, that one, we can do it tomorrow for you. And I said, okay, what's the difference? And he said, well, with a health insurance one, you don't pay much. You pay something around 500 cedis when we are done. But then with this procedure, we needed to pay like, I think 4,500. Yes, cash.
Wow.
So then we immediately said, okay, we want that. Then he was like, there is another decision you need to make. What is it? Then he was like, well, since you are bleeding, if we opt for a myomectomy, it means your bleeding will have to cease before you can go through that surgery. We need to find a way. And what I also forgot is that at that point, because of the bleeding, they had made me gone through Provera. I took Provera shots for 3 times. The bleeding still wouldn't stop before these decisions were being made. So after the Provera, then he said, well, we need to find a way of making the bleeding cease, and then we will do the surgery if it's myomectomy. If it's hysterectomy, then we don't need to do anything. That one, we will just like go straight into the surgery. Then I said, yes, okay, I want it. Then he said, well, the truth is that if we do a myomectomy, the idea is us thinking that maybe in the next 2 years you want to have a baby. Which is 50-50. Even that, having a baby after that surgery is not guaranteed. Yes. So it's like 90-10 something, that risk thing that we needed to do. I said, no, I want the hysterectomy. And like at that point, all his colleagues in the room were looking at my face. Now, what is it? He said, you just like immediately chose something. And it's strange. You needed to go home, think about it, blah, blah, blah. And then my husband came in. And then they said, well, Alaji, what do you think? They were asking my husband questions here and there. My husband was like, well, it's my body, so the decision is mine, not his. Everyone was shocked again. Like, who does that? At this point, the decision should be yours, not hers. Why should you allow her to decide to do this? But he said, no, it's her decision, it's her body, and she's gone through it. So, I mean, her decision is what we all go by. So whatever she wants is what you do. So then I opted for that. Once we had agreed to pay the 4,500, that evening, they asked us to check in. I checked in that evening. The following morning at 11 a.m., I was in the theater. But when the process was going on, they said it would take just an hour. But mine took almost like 4 hours because of the complications after the drainage pass and everything. So I stayed. They had to give me the anesthesia shot 3 more times. So at a point when everything was off, I could feel every single thing they were doing to my body, everything. I was in pain. Then they gave me the shot again. Then in the process, after an hour, it was all off again. I could feel everything, every single thing they were doing to me, till the test shots, then they were done. They took everything off, and then they removed it. So it was a total evacuation. And then they asked me to look at it. Then they called my husband in, and then they gave it to my husband. They took a picture of it for me for later if I wanted to see it. And then my husband took the thing away. The healing process was slow, but I was lucky because, when you are done with surgeries and other things like this, you don't need people with bad energy around you. Honestly, you don't.
Yes.
So you need people who are smart and wise, for them not to be asking you stupid questions. So that was what helped my healing process. So it was very fast, even though it was slow. But then my doctors were wonderful. Till today, we are still in touch. They still call to check up on me. On 31st December, I was there with them at the hospital. We were just like gelling. They were so happy to see me. After the healing process, this is me. Now, we still have to deal with the societal issues, our African perspective, our religious stuff. So a lot of people didn't know that I had gone through that surgery. Others knew. People see you and they still tell me my daughter is 7. What am I waiting for? So someone actually saw me and said that, and I blasted her and told her I cannot have another baby. In fact, I can't have babies again. And there were other people there. Why can't you have babies? You people, when you go to school, you change everything. I was like, no, I have removed my uterus. That was the point where she went like, damn, didn't talk again. And she apologized. And that was an opportunity for me to do my thing. And I ran it down on them. I told them, I said, you do not know the battles women are fighting. People have different issues they are dealing with, and that is what is accounting for if they want to have babies, their inabilities to have babies. You know, if they miscarry, they go through a miscarriage, that is what is accounting for it. We need to respect the decisions people make. You don't have to ask some questions to people. You know, somebody meets you and asks you, an old schoolmate will ask you, oh, now how many kids do you have? 2. Hey, what are you waiting for? You know, I'm still dealing with those issues, but what I'm grateful for is the strength that I have and also the sort of man friend I chose for myself. Also because I don't feel shy and I don't miss word when I'm telling people that I have gone through the surgery, so I can't have babies again. You know, once someone told me not to talk about it, not to say anything to anyone. I should, oh no, it's not, don't say anything about it. Once the person said it, I told the person, your superstitious beliefs, like, don't say anything about it because witches will do this. Now, what will witches do to me if I say it? In fact, they can't eat the womb because it is not there. So what are you trying to, what am I keeping a secret again, Hetty? And I told her that, well, with my level of exposure, this is an opportunity for me, one, to educate people when we discuss issues around fibroids. Because one of the things my doctors told me was that if maybe I was lucky to have survived that, what it was horrible. In fact, I didn't say everything I went through, but it was very horrible. I was lucky. The time for me to have probably taken the decision and gone through this was when I was in Canada, which I failed. So it was almost like 2018 and a bit of 2019 before it all started was just part-time for me, you know. So I am in a better position to advise people to immediately seek medical attention and take decisions fast. And also for me as an opportunity, as an activist, to continue reminding people that the decisions women take is none of their business. Leave women with their reproductive health right issues, let them make their decisions and let them be responsible for them. You do not need to push them beyond their limits. You do not need to remind them of their woes. You know, I am strong, so when people tell me that, I really don't care. But for others, they might not be able to deal with it. They will go home and cry. I don't care about it. And I keep telling people that there are so many means for me to have kids, if ever I want to have them again anyway. So I will explore all those opportunities if I really want to have another child, you know. And I have sisters who will just deliver and I can just go and carry one and add on to my 2. And there are so many children in my area where we live. Whenever I'm in town that they see me, they run to my house because they know the goodies are there. I can just pick any one of them and speak with the parents. So as women, one, we need to have control over our own bodies. And the most important aspect is choosing the right men who fit into our career and our decisions. Imagine if at the point when I said, no, I want the hysterectomy, and they insisted that Alaji must be there to say what he wanted. And he had come and said, no, I do not want that. What would I have gone through if the medical team is rather pushing him to make a decision for me? No, it would have been very dangerous for me. It would have probably meant that I would have still maybe be bleeding by now, or maybe it's just a myomectomy I'll have, or whatever would have happened. So we need to make decisions and stick to them. We need to communicate that decision clearly, you know, for people to understand. We don't have to mince words when we are talking about our bodies. When we miss anything in our body, we have missed our own life. That's how dangerous it is. But for me, I'll say that as women, while let's support each other, having conversations like this, Hetty, is extremely important. People are going through, women are going through so much that the worst is that most of them think that they are the only people who are going through it. Some of them actually think that it's because they are paying for the sins of their mothers or their forefathers. Some of them probably also think that it's because of something they did. I mean, you know, some people will say that the abortion they had is what is not making them have children. You know, these stories go around.
I know.
So, we need have these conversations.
Sorry, Bash has frozen again. But please start sending your questions. Anything that you want to ask, please start sending them so that we can ask Bash those questions. Sorry, Bash, you were frozen, so I took the opportunity to continue.
Yeah, someone just called me. I cut the line. So, I mean, I think that is that for now, and I will be happy to respond to any questions.
Bash, thank
yes,
you so
darling.
much. Thank you so much for sharing this experience, and I am so sorry that you went through all of this. It's actually
you shouldn't be sorry. You should be happy.
If I hadn't gone alive.
In fact, I'm working out, so let's keep talking. See, like you should be happy I went through it. That is the reason why I can have this conversation with you. Some of us need to have this conversation.
I suppose on that score you are right, but I'm still like, it just sounds like, wow, you are such a strong woman. I am so proud to know you. Thank you so much for sharing this experience, and I'm sure that people have learned stuff from that.
Yeah. Can you see her face?
Yes. Oh my God.
Mama.
So it's her birthday today. So let me read some of the.
Please do.
Let me read some of the encouraging messages for you. Let me go back up. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so yeah, someone saying, "Are you in Ghana?" You responded to that already. Someone asked, "What is this meeting about?" I'm sure Jennifer, now you know what the meeting was about.
Jennifer, yeah, I responded.
Okay. And she said, "Yes, you're a tough girl." And One says, "Oh my, you went through the most." Let's see, what else is there? Ivy said they will tell you that abrotry people like surgery too much. That is very true.
But see, I ended up with it anyway. So they were not wrong after all, Hetty. They were not wrong.
Abrotry people are more interested in saving your life than telling you that you should drink some herbal concoction. So yeah.
Yes.
Ms. Bynum says women's reproductive health is a big issue. Insightful conversation. Thank you. Let's see what else. Ivy said again, this must have been quite a journey. So sorry. Katiha says that sending you hugs at President in Waiting. So collect your virtual hugs.
I receive all that.
Miss Biden says, "So sorry, ma'am. It's like." Miss Biden says, sorry, ma'am. It's like every moment in a woman's reproductive health, there is something to be dealt with.
Yes.
Jennifer says, "Bash, you're a gift from God." Katiha says, "Your husband is so enlightened." Yes, your mom friend is very, very, very enlightened. We love him.
He is, but he can sometimes also be a little crazy, just like me, but not as much as me.
One said people just open their mouths and ask questions. That is so true.
Yes.
Miss Binder says women need to have absolute control over their reproductive health. No ifs, no buts, whether married or not. Because I can't imagine a man or husband taking a decision on my body. You are 100% right, Miss Binder. This is something
that is true, and we have witnessed people losing their lives because their spouses will not allow them to go through surgery.
Yeah, exactly.
And there are instances where somebody will say that I'm waiting for a response from my pastor or my malam to tell me that the road is clear. I can go on with the surgery now. So a lot of women have lost their lives due to that. Those unnecessary power that we give to other people over their bodies.
That is very true. That is very true. It's a woman's bodily autonomy is one of the most important things that we need to really like preach and drive home to everybody, because you know, when you die, they will have the Ebonyo party, and they will eat jollof, and they will dance, and they'll move. And your husband would, the thing is, your husband will get a wife, another wife
Who
within a
doesn't
year.
whether had one
You
waiting?
know, but
The person probably have one waiting at some corner somewhere.
indeed,
So,
that is not something that is even like up for debate.
yes.
It happens all the time. You know, so it's very important that women, as women, we understand that whilst our husbands or partners may be like, we can extend some courtesy to them by informing them that this is what we want to do. At the end of the day, your decision as a woman concerning your body and your reproductive health should be your decision alone. Exactly. The man can just be informed for the sake of him having the information that this is what I'm going to do.
Exactly. Yes, it's true. And you see, the other parties, some of them will not even listen to the medical advice that they are being given. That they pay attention to other people's interpretation, spiritual interpretation of whatever problem that they are being told. So they do not want to hear the medical aspect, but theirs is the spiritual one. And the spiritual one, because it's paramount, is what leads to a lot of women losing their lives.
I mean, your pastor does not have a medical degree. You cannot
Exactly.
choose the opinion of your pastor over someone who's spent 6 years studying medicine to become a doctor and have done placements and, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's a question from One. It says, what is the one thing you would tell other women who aren't strong or can't shoulder it all?
Well, what I would say is that today, thankfully, because of social media, one, there are a lot of resources available out there. This conversation started from Abina's page, where we all went there to talk about it. There are a lot of people that you can always reach out to talk to. You know, it might be someone who has gone through it, or someone who knows something about it, or someone who has the network to connect you to where you can get help. So always don't keep things to yourself. Go out, seek help, talk to people, share your problems. Don't think that the problems you are going through is peculiar to you. No, that is wrong. Every woman is going through a certain type of struggle because of our reproductive health, right? You know, and because of the biological makeup. We didn't make our own bodies.
Yeah, of course.
You know? Yes, what we all have is a uterus. We all have fallopian tubes. At the end of the day, what comes out of it and the processes that leads to the blood coming out, it's different for everybody. That experience is different, and that is what leads to all the things that we are discussing. So talk to people, have conversations, reach out for help. Don't be ashamed. Don't ever be ashamed of yourself or your body or your story, because your story can change your life and change the lives of other people too.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then to other women too, this is not a time to judge people wrongly when they reach out for help. It is not a time for you to have a topic for discussion. Somebody reach out to you to tell you their problem, and the next thing for you to do is to sit somewhere and discuss it. Meanwhile, you are not extending any form of help to the person. When people tell you things in confidence that they need support with, if it is help you are getting them, do get it to them. If it is a process you are helping them to facilitate it fast, just do it for them. But do not keep them waiting whilst you use them as a subject matter elsewhere, you know, whether to subject them to some form of ridicule or whatever. But it is important, very important, that we talk to ourselves as women, and that we discuss our issues, that we keep advocating. We need to strengthen our activism on issues like this. Women owning their bodies, women having the sole responsibility of making that decisions around their bodies before anything drastic happens to them.
That is absolutely right. Thank you so much, Bash. You have been wonderful. This conversation has been really, really eye-opening, and I am sure that the people who stayed on and listened,
I'm happy that
in all of you, you are a fucking queen.
Ona says she will be whipping.
So as
when he's talking about my husband,
she's something else. Where is your husband? Everybody say your husband is cool. Where is your husband, please?
He's driving.
Oh, he's driving. Oh, I really wanted to get his experience, but
oh, he's driving. You set a time with just him for him to tell you his experience doing the unpaid care work at the hospital.
I think we need to bring him back for part 2 of this so that we can get it from his side of the story as well.
He said that he was on
great. And like I said, like I said, you don't have to even have the same issues that Bash was going through before you decide to have a hysterectomy or any other form of sterilization.
Exactly.
The fact that you don't want children is a valid reason. I have been the type. People have told me since I was old enough to decide I didn't want to have children. People used to tell me, "Oh, when you grow, you will grow out of it." Like by the time I was like 25, I was like, "Okay, so this growing out of it is not happening." And now I'm like almost 38, and I still don't want to have children. But I still get people ask me stupid questions like, "Oh, what if your mother hadn't given birth to you?" Like, you know, if my mother had chosen not to give birth to me, I love my mother, and so I would understand that was the best thing for her. You know,
that's a decision.
Yeah, exactly. And so the society is never going to be pleased with what women choose to do. Yes. So if you, as a woman, you want to please society all the time, you may end up really unhappy, depressed. Sometimes even you lose your life because you want to please people other than yourself.
Yeah, that is so.
You know, one of my older sisters in the US had surgery a couple of months ago for a fibroid, and you know, the thing is, when she described it, you would think that if you saw her, you would think that she was pregnant because of the size of the fibroid, but she wasn't, right? And so she passed out, and then they had to have surgery to remove the fibroid. So I don't think that she had a hysterectomy. I think she just had the fibroid removed. But it's a conversation that I'm looking forward to having with her to find out what her experience was as well. I've lost a friend, my secondary school friend, to fibroid in the US, and it's something that affects a lot of women will not treat it because they want to have children. You know, it's like that having children is more important than your life itself.
Your life, you know, exactly.
No one is going to thank you for dying. Let's put it that way. No one will say thank you. No one will come to your funeral and shake your dead corpse.
Oh no!
And say, thank you for dying.
Want to get closer. They don't want to get
exactly. And the same people, after you die, they'll go and sit there and say, "Oh, if she had done this or that, she wouldn't have died." You know. So, like, do not live your life to please society. It's important that you make your decisions for your body yourself. It's important that you own these decisions. You are the only one that knows what is best for you.
And what is going on in your body.
Yeah, exactly. He who knows it, or she who knows it, feels it. So I really hope that this conversation has been enlightening for people. We will save it and we will share it on our IGTV live, and also we'll post it to Facebook and YouTube so that people can watch later. So please tell your friends to come and watch. And coincidentally, we are actually publishing an article on Thursday on women's or on voluntary childlessness. So basically, women who have chosen not to have children. So keep an eye out on that. The article is coming out on Thursday. It's written by our Nigerian author. Her name is Toby George. She's a fantastic writer, and she really goes into the politics of women's bodily autonomy. So thank you so much, Bash, for this conversation. Thank you for spending over an hour with us. And we definitely want part 2 with our mom friend over there.
And then and then get him ready for that part 2.
Yeah, we want to talk about his unpaid care work. Tell him to use that link that I sent and calculate it so that we discuss it.
And pay him, right?
Yeah, we'll to pay him. Why not?
He was on leave for close to 3 months.
Oh. You know,
he had to. There was nobody.
When we say that, this is one of my personal mantras. In all your doings, In all your gettings, get a man with sense.
With sense.
Get a man with sense. We cannot overstate this. We cannot overemphasize this enough. In all your gettings, get a man with sense.
Get a man with sense. Yeah.
Thank you, Bash.
Thank you so much, Ati. Thank you to everyone who joined us.
We'll see you next week
you
for another live.
Sure. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.